So in this video, I want to share what I'd call essentially like a business model blueprint for coaches. And when I share that, it's not something to follow word for word, but instead it's to look over and take it with a pinch of salt and take elements that you feel might complement you. So hopefully it will inspire a little bit of clarity. I know a lot of coaches get really overwhelmed with their business models and if they're doing the right thing or not. I get to have a whole load of experience with this through Life Coaching Academy. And this is just something that, it comes up so much in the Q&A sessions, and that I thought, we'll record this, we'll put it out en masse. Hopefully it'll help a whole load of others. And if it does bring you value, please leave a comment below. And if you have anything to add, similarly, please leave a comment below. So the first thing I notice about aspiring coaches is that the idea of sitting one-on-one in front of people is intimidating. And to be fair as well, striking up and generating that business can be a bit challenging in the initial sense. And at the start of most coaches' journeys, they're hungry for knowledge. And so what I generally recommend is for a coach to actually organize their learning. Let's say they break themselves down into 8 weeks. And I would say, look, study a particular issue, a particular challenge every 8 weeks. And so what I would say to them is, let's say, for example's sake, a very vague open comment, but let's say personal confidence. A coach wants to study personal confidence as much for themselves as to help others with their confidence. And so many people come to coaches saying, I need to build my confidence. What I would say to these coaches is to start their learnings, perhaps buy a couple of books, look at a couple of lectures online. And for the points that really stand out to them, for the points that excite them, I would encourage them to share. It could be a one-liner, it could be a paragraph, it could be a snippet from a video, but share them on your social media. Share the excitement that you're having from your learning journey. In the first couple of posts, it might come across a bit random to your followers, but after a week or two, there's a pattern, and your followers are going to start actually being like, wow, such and such, it's me. Jamie's on a bit of a journey learning about confidence, and some of his content that he's been sharing is really interesting. A month into that process, that's a lot of content around confidence, and people are going to actually start appreciating your knowledge, appreciating you as a bit of an authority in that space. And at that point, what I recommend is that you actually share with your followers and say, look, do you know what? I'm going to host a bit of a workshop sharing all the learnings I found in this, in the journey to personal confidence. I've read a number of books, looked at a lot of articles, watched a lot of speakers, and I've accumulated a lot of knowledge. I would like to share that with you. And of course, people have been following and people have been seeing little snippets, and chances are you've whet their appetite and they like a little bit more. I say to do these workshops, you charge a nominal fee. Don't do them for free. People don't respect free workshops. And if it's for free, you might get a load of subscriptions, but chances are very few people will actually turn up. So put a nominal fee and put it out there. Easiest platform to do an event on is Eventbrite. I use it myself. I hook it up to my Zoom. It does all the little connecting of the dots, and it's very, very simple. You can advertise it through Instagram very simply. And what I find is, if I've done this properly, and I've seen it roll out with so many of the coaches I'm working with, it's always quite surprising how many people sign up for this. What I find as well is that coaches really, in the initial sense, can be much, much more comfortable teaching. It's a funny one, but it seems to be easier to share knowledge to a group than work one-to-one with somebody. So this is the first thing, the workshop. You're reaching the masses, you're not really charging an enormous fee, but it can work really, really well. The idea of that workshop is not to make a fortune in it. And also as well, you're not going to give the person everything they need. To be fair, a workshop is probably going to be 90 minutes max with some time then after for Q&A. But what that workshop does is it welcomes in people that are curious about you. It gives them an opportunity to learn from you, to experience your brilliance, and also open them up to a certain subject. Chances are that you will guide them through a journey. You will share lots of learnings from them, and they will soak that up. At the end, they'll go, wait a second, I'd actually like to know more. And what I recommend then is to deliver a follow-up masterclass. So we have a workshop for 90 minutes. People come, they get a lot of knowledge, but they also kind of want to learn more. And you deliver that to them. At the end of the workshop, you say, look, if this was of interest to you, if you'd like to learn more, I'm actually going to spend next weekend. I'm going to do 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday to do a really deep dive into this subject because, look, it's worth it. What I find is that once people have experienced you and once people have actually opened themselves up to a new subject, they value it a hell of a lot more. So let's say, for example's sake, the price point for that workshop was $10 or €10 because you wanted to invite in a lot of people. Those people, having experienced you, your teaching, your energy, and opened their curiosity to a subject, are actually going to be open to spending a hell of a lot more. And so that masterclass might jump up to $100 or €100. And you can use whatever figures, but the multiples are pretty correct here. And that masterclass is a really nice opportunity to go deep. And for the people that sign up for that, they're going to be interested in you. They're going to be curious in the subject. And you're going to actually find that you will be able to be a better teacher in that masterclass. You're going to be able to hold that space better because people will be more hooked in. The ideal want and desire from that masterclass is you are going to make a bit of money, but what you're going to find is people having experienced you and having experienced your in-depth knowledge at that point are going to say, this was amazing. I learned so much, and I'd be really curious to know what it's like to work with you one-to-one. I found that I've built my confidence off the back of this. What would it be like to coach with you? And so that first segment, the workshop/masterclass strategy, I encourage most early stage coaches to cycle that and do it every 2 months or every 3 months, whatever's comfortable for you. But it's a great way of committing yourself to learning, sharing content, bringing in an audience, building confidence, putting yourself out there, selling something, working with an audience, upselling, and building a following that's actually experienced you, that's got a taste for you, that's got a taste for your value. And anyone that I see do this, it always happens. They get a nice, surprising turnout for the workshop. Numbers kind of generally split in half, provided they're doing a good job for the masterclass. And after the masterclass, there's generally a nice, and again, surprising, let's say, 15 to 20% of the attendees that will say, what would it be like to work with you? And at that point, when somebody is saying, hey, what would it be like to work with you? I encourage them to sell the one-to-one offering. Now, when it comes to a one-to-one offering for coaches, it is so important that you don't position yourself in a space of selling yourself by the hour, because really that's not what coaching is about. Coaching is about setting a container of, could be a month, could be 3 months, where you will meet with your client for an hour once weekly. And those sessions are important. Those sessions are where you help open somebody up. You help somebody look at something in a different way, shape, fashion. You help somebody get a different perspective on their problems and actually work their way through them. And you help somebody relieve themselves of the stress and the challenge that's on their shoulders and lighten their load. The real magic of coaching actually comes in between the sessions. Somebody walks away from that hour with you. Somebody feels lighter, and their mind and their background starts to go tickety tick tick tick. And so for the coaches that just sell themselves off in a one-off session, they sell themselves dramatically short. Whereas if you sell yourself in a block, let's say 4 sessions over 4 weeks, or 6 sessions every 2 weeks over 3 months, what it does is it allows you to meet with somebody, give them that coaching experience, allows them to step back, reap all the benefits that come from that coaching session over the week or the 2 weeks in between the next session. And then you pick up from there and move forward. And you pick up from there and move forward again. What I find is that there's an enormous compounding effect when you work in that fashion. And I think it's really important that coaches work with people, not just in this one-to-one, like in a hour slot, but that they're there in support and the time in between. That's where the real value is. When a client after a session can text and go, oh my God, like I've just thought about this and it's just opened up this thought and oh my God, it's brought me to this point. I generally find a coach who's starting off, they might charge $50 or $100 an hour if they're doing it just session by session. But if they sell, as I said, 4 sessions over 4 weeks in a month's transformative container, there's actually a hell of a lot more value than the simple hourly sessions. There's the time in between, there's the support that you give them, there's the compounding effect of going from call to call, and it's worth a hell of a lot more to your clients. And so whereas a once-off session, one might struggle with whatever fee it might be for an hour with you, if actually you support somebody and set a container for a month or 3 months or whatever it might be, and are there for them in the necessary capacity to allow for that transformation, the value that they will get from that will allow you to charge a hell of a lot more. And so I really encourage clients to follow that process. Doing the workshops, doing the masterclasses, and doing the one-to-ones like that give you a hell of a lot to work with. And what you'll find is that over time, your attendance at your workshops will increase and you can increase your rate. Your attendance at your masterclasses will increase and you can increase your rate. And your demand for your one-to-ones will increase and you can increase your rate. Now, there comes a time when you know your capacity. Perhaps a workshop every 2 months or 3 months, that's all you can do. Perhaps the masterclass once every 2 or 3 months, again, that's all you can do. And perhaps you can only take on 10 clients or so. But at a certain point, actually, there's a hell of a lot more people wanting to work with you. And I think it's really important to, one thing for me is that it's knowing how you're going to get your business. And, a lot of people get lost in online advertising, their social media. But for me, I think it's really important just to really speak to how important it is to actually do the job. If you have a workshop, give people such value from that workshop that they walk away going, whoa, that was amazing. Yeah, of course I want to sign up for the masterclass, and you know what, I'm going to tell 3 or 4 friends. And at the masterclass, you do such a good job that people, again, as I said prior, are saying, geez, I want to work with this guy or this girl. And I'm gonna recommend them to so many others too. And when you get the opportunity to work with somebody one-to-one, you do an absolutely outstanding job. Not just on the calls, but the support in between. So as I said, somebody comes away from any experience with you in awe, where they are so impressed with you that it's actually impossible not to recommend you to others. You know yourself, when you watch a good movie, when you have a good meal, read a good book, listen to a good song, you want to share it with others. It's just something in our instinctive nature. And for me, I would encourage you to aspire to tap into that, because when you do, that's how you go viral. It's not about becoming this absolutely extravagant social media marketeer or anything like that. That can be great, but without the expertise and the coaching, it's not good. So for me, I get excited about that model. Now, moving forward from there, what I think is really, really important, as you've looked at your capacity, and perhaps you've reduced the workshops from, instead of being every 3 months or 2 months, to every month, and the masterclasses to every 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. And you've really refined your one-to-one coaching, and you've realized your capacity, you've realized how much you want to work. What I encourage then at a certain point is you will start to see trends in the people coming to you one-to-one. You'll start to see patterns. For me, what I found I started off really as a business coach, and what I found is that so many coaches came to me. Hence, I started really, really honing down and working with coaches. But with yourself, let's say, take the example that we talked about earlier, that let's say everyone is coming to you for confidence coaching. You might recognize that on every one-to-one that you've done, you essentially follow a pattern in working with them and delivering the transformation that a client is coming to you for. You might think to yourself, do you know what? I'm doing the same thing with all these clients one-to-one. I'm actually going to build a program, and I'm working with my clients one-to-one over 3 months. I'm doing a call with them every 2 weeks, and I'm delivering this same confidence coaching transformation. I'm going to build it as a program, but I'm going to do it en masse for a group where I am going to share with them what they need to know, and I'm going to be there for them to support them. And this can take so many shapes. As I said, it really is formed by the consistencies in what people are coming to you for. So as I said, this example, lots of people coming to you for confidence coaching. You find yourself following a similar pattern of work with all the clients that you're working with, and you start to understand and develop little tools that really work, little bits of information that if only people knew up front, wow, they wouldn't have had the problems in the first place. This forms the whole basis of your program. And what I find is that people are racing into doing programs way too early in their journey. My belief is that if you do things in the right order, things actually flow quite naturally. Hence, the workshop comes quite naturally because you've got that hunger for learning already. Well, the masterclass, if you've introduced people to a subject, they're going to want to learn more. The masterclass comes in. And then people having experienced your value, well, God, they're going to want to work with you one-to-one. And then as you start to read the patterns and the people coming to you one-to-one, and you start to develop an expertise addressing those patterns, well, hell, then it becomes very, very easy to, as I said, deliver this group program. And these group programs can be extraordinarily lucrative. So we gave a figure of $1,000 or €1,000 for a one-to-one coaching program over 4 weeks. Well, let's say you made a little allowance. It was a group program. So instead of it being 1,000, you might split the cost in half and say, look, it's $500 for this month's program. And within it, I'm sharing everything someone needs to know with regards to rebuilding their confidence. And you open it up to however many people are interested in it. You allow the same time that you would for a one-to-one client. But let's say you sign 10 clients to it. That's 5,000. That's essentially 5 times the profit that you would a one-to-one client. And that, I think, is where things start to get really exciting. So for me, going back, step 1, the workshop. Step 2, the masterclass. Step 3, the one-to-one coaching. Step 4, kind of blur the lines on it as I spoke, but I think it's really, really important, is like refining your capacity, perhaps doing things a little bit more efficiently, pushing up your prices and getting yourself to capacity. Step 5 is finding a pattern, finding an area where people are, coming to you over and over again for the same thing, and you could work with them in such a, for having worked with so many people in the same capacity, you've developed such an expertise that you can really do things en masse now, and that's where you build your group program. And that group program fits in place of a one-to-one client, but can multiply your earnings capacity. And I think at that point, that's where I'm going to kind of cut this video. I kind of think for any establishing coach or early stage coach, we kind of plotted the lines of perhaps the first 2 years in business. Here's the really nice thing. If you're doing those workshops on Eventbrite and on Zoom and selling them through your social media or just word of mouth and WhatsApp groups, your costs and the time effort is the same whether there's 5 people on that or 500 or 5,000. It's the same with the masterclass. You do have a capacity with your one-to-one work, but in the groups, again, you have unlimited capacity. Here's the really interesting thing. I remember when I was aspiring to be a coach in Ireland, we're looking around in my environment, and I wasn't very inspired by the businesses that many of the coaches had established. Fortunately, back home where I'm from, the coaching business is really, it's in its infancy. It's getting going. So I wanted to see, where people are doing really well in coaching. I found myself a coaching master. Had to cringe a little bit at that, but it's true. Over in LA, he was 27 years a coach. Cal Mercer, partnered with him for the Life Coaching Academy. And then I went to Bali, where I found where every second person over there was a coach. But here's the exciting thing. I have met coaches that are, some are earning $5,000 a month, some are earning 10 grand a month, some are earning 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. I've even met coaches that are making $1 million a month. And this same model applies itself. Some people using this model that I've shared are literally making $1 million a month. That's the beautiful thing about being a coach. You can build your business to whatever capacity feels right for you. The sky's the limit. And and you don't have to go madly out of the box. It doesn't need to be super complicated. This is a simple system or a simple blueprint that I've shared with you, but it's savagely scalable. And anyway, I wanted to share that because for me, a lot of people come to me as early stage coaches and they say, hey, can I build a career for myself as a coach? And I wanted to share those figures to say you absolutely can. You can build an incredible lifestyle for yourself. And I love that you can build your business as big as you want or as small as you want, whatever's right for you. It's so nice to be able to build something and tailor it correctly to yourself. Anyways, I'll stop this video here. I hope it's brought you good value. For whatever comes to you off the back of it or comes up for you from it, please do share your feedback in the comments or feel free to reach out to me. I hope it brings you as much value as this knowledge has brought me.